But why? Why should death be something everyone has to fear? Do we only live because we don't want to die? Why is that? Does something good come from living? It hasn't from me. In all the days I've lived, no good thing has ever happened to me.
Thorfinn's character is misunderstood by so many people, specifically the part in his character arc between his thirst for revenge and his unwavering pacifism. When people think of Vinland Saga, whether you've seen it or not, I know you're familiar with the phrase, "I have no enemies." This is the moment that transcends Vinland Saga as a whole and is what people think of when they think of Thorfinn. The problem is that Thorfinn's inner journey is often underrated and forgotten about. Thorfinn's story teaches not only how to find your life's purpose, but one that is commendable. We see Thorfinn's entire journey from having a distinct purpose to complete emptiness and rising again to find his new life's purpose. In this video, I'm going to break down Thorfinn's journey and his internal quest for purpose.
You're right, but I don't hate him anymore. Which is why I still can't move on. Now that my hatred is gone, I'm empty.
The first step towards reinventing yourself is to clean your slate. Prior to being a slave, Thorfinn lived his entire life with the sole purpose of killing Askeladd in a duel. This drove him down the path of anger and violence being his resting state. Season 1 Thorfinn was a monster with no conscience and no moral compass. He had a goal and didn't care who or what stood in his way. After the death of Askeladd by the hands of Canute, he lost his entire purpose for living. Up until that point, Thorfinn survived for the sole reason of getting a chance to duel Askeladd. After losing the opportunity to achieve his only goal in life, naturally, this turns Thorfinn into a shell of himself. This is where we meet him in the beginning of Season 2. This is the most important part in Thorfinn's character arc. His lost or empty phase is heartbreaking, but at the same time necessary. It's sad to see because of scenes like this one where Fox is trying to torture him and he doesn't even fight back because he feels his life is pointless. However, it's necessary because, as Kettle's father explains, in order to be reborn, you have to be empty to learn a new way of life. If you're empty, then you can fit anything inside of you. You have to be able to let go of your past and be a clean slate so you have space to grow. Once you let go of your past beliefs and way of life, then comes the next step, which is probably the most important in finding your purpose: acceptance.
Now's not the time for you to sit around and cry, boy. You don't want to fall back down here now, do you? Even if you can barely hold on, you have to keep climbing. Don't ever stop! That battle is yours, and yours alone. Now go! Carry the souls of those you killed with you. Fight your true battle until the bitter end! Fight to become something beyond a monster! A true warrior!
Acceptance is one of, if not the most important steps in finding your purpose, as we see from Thorfinn's inner battle. From the start of the season, we see Thorfinn constantly having nightmares. Nightmares so bad Einar feels the need to wake him up. It's not until Thorfinn looks inward that he realizes the nightmares are caused by his guilty conscience. The dreams are caused by his feelings of guilt for all the innocent lives he took. His self-reflection is told through the lens of his dreams. His dreams consist of being pulled down to Valhalla, which is a place warriors like Season 1 Thorfinn would thrive. A place where there are no victories or allies, just enemies constantly fighting to no end. Thorfinn's consciousness is represented through Askeladd, who explains to him that this is where he lived for most of his life. Only because Thorfinn became empty after the death of Askeladd was he able to escape. He explains that the guilt he feels for taking so many innocent lives is weighing on him, and if he doesn't accept what he's done, he'll be dragged back down. Thorfinn's true battle is to move forward while carrying the weight of all his victims. This is his ultimate challenge, to be able to climb out of this dark place with the weight of his past holding on to him. This is important because while you can't come to terms with your past, you can erase it. I love how this is shown in Vinland Saga. Even after Thorfinn makes it out of the dark place he used to live, he doesn't forget the wrongs he committed. This is how real life works. When you want to change your life after living a completely different way prior, even after coming to accept your past actions, they will still be attached to you. You have to move forward accepting that you made those mistakes. However, moving forward, those mistakes can be used as fuel for your new path. This is where the last step comes into play: embracing change.
Today's the first I've met any of you. We know nothing about one another. I have no quarrels with anyone here, and I'm not who you came to fight. So what reason could we have to hit each other? It's absurd. We're only here because of a dispute between Canute and Kettle. The two of them could settle it with a game of Nevertoffel, and it would mean as much as this war. But they both raised armies instead, and sent them out here to spill each other's blood. We just met, and we've hardly even spoken. I don't have one enemy among these men. I have no enemies at all.
After his inner reflection, Thorfinn fully embraces his newfound lifestyle. He swears to Einar that from that day forward he will never hurt anyone again. He will use his newfound path of denouncing violence to atone for his past ways. Fully embracing the change you want to commit to is mandatory if you want the change to actually prevail. We see later in the season that Thorfinn does in fact fully embrace this change, and what leads up to the most recognized scene in all of Vinland Saga. When Canute is invading Kettle's farm, Thorfinn makes it his goal to go speak with him. In order to get past Canute's royal guards, he makes a deal. Instead of proving he was a previous guard of Canute through violence, he decided to prove it by withstanding 100 blows. This is Thorfinn's ultimate declaration of a life of pacifism. He could have easily proved he was a royal guard by winning in combat, but when asked why he didn't fight back is when he says, all of them only met on that day, therefore they should have no ill will towards each other, and declares that he has no enemies. This scene is the ultimate culmination of all the inner work and struggles he went through from the moment he saw Askeladd die up until then. We see Thorfinn finally show a level of determination reminiscent of that scene in season 1. So yes, while this scene is a masterpiece, it's the build up from Thorfinn's character throughout season 2 that makes it so impactful. Ultimately, everyone's journey to finding their purpose will be different. However, Thorfinn's journey outlines the most important steps. The first one being become a clean slate in the sense that you let go of your previous beliefs and ways of thinking. Another term for this is ego death, which I talked about in my recent Blue Lock video if you want a more in-depth explanation of that. The second step being to accept your previous actions and way of life. You can't erase whatever mistakes you made before, so the best course of action is to learn from them and use them as motivation to lift yourself toward a new path in life. The final step being to embrace your change fully. You can't halfway change and expect results. You have to commit to whatever it is you find purpose in for anything to change. With that being said, I love you and I'm out. Peace.